I was nearly doing commentary while I was in the voice chat there. I just had to quickly mute myself. But we've got David final form with a good start in first position. We've got Joe Burden with a good start from third into second, but he nearly spun David final form there. He had to back out of that one, so that drops him back down into third. Ezin up into second place. So at the moment we've got David final form in first. We've got Ezin in second, Joe Burden third, Plague in fourth, Reedcraft for fifth, Bouncy sixth, Koo seventh, Nate in eighth, Super Actor in ninth, and Cheesy Rider, that is your top 10. Johnny Soccer currently running in 11th place. Already a gap forming between the top four and everybody else. David final form in first position, Ezin, Joe Burden and Plague. That is your top four group here. Joe Burden going a little bit wide, but he manages to close it off there. Plague trying to find an opening and nothing doing. This is creating a gap between the top two and third and fourth. David final form already building a gap there over Ezin in second place. Joe Burden, our current ELO Revline ranking leader. David final form is in second place. As the races go on, it'll start to take shape and we'll have some idea of the rankings at Revline. But definitely Joe Burden and David final form after the races we've seen so far are the ones in form at the moment. Don't forget IQ as well. He's only done one race and he won. He's got a 100% record. I'm sure we'll see him again in the future. But for now, we've got these guys on track. Joe Burden managing to not allow Plague to overtake there. Not much room for Plague to manoeuvre. But David final form has got about a second gap over Ezin in second place. We've got Joe Burden third, Plague in fourth, Reedcrafter in fifth, Nate Savate in sixth, Koo in seventh, Bouncy in eighth, Super Actor in ninth, and Cheese Rider. That is your top 10. Everybody very close on track. Looks like most people have got a battle. Johnny Soccer had a very slow start off the line, so hopefully he'll start picking up some pace. We've got Koo and Nate here. Koo looking for an opening. It's the first race for Nate Savate. Hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. Revline. Looking like he's got decent pace so far. Good to see Reedcrafter again. He organises a lot of equals ban events over there. Good to see him having the opportunity to race tonight. And I know how that feels when you're the organiser. It's hard to find a race for yourself. So it's good that he's managed to get one here. Koo had to back out of that one. That's going to allow Bouncy to go side by side as we go into turn one. Is Bouncy going to get this overtake complete? Looks like he's going to make two overtakes in one corner. He's going to be alongside Nate Savate. Nate Savate's going to be on the wide. Koo is going to follow Bouncy through here to hopefully get an overtake as well. But it looks like Bouncy, very good driving there from him. Gets two overtakes in two corners. And he climbs his way up into, I believe, sixth position. So the gap at the moment, David final form building the gap over Ezin in second place. Joe Baird in third, Plague in fourth. Then we've got Reedcrafter having a lonely race there in fifth. Then we've got Bouncy, Nate Savate, Koo, Super Raptor. Then we've got Cheesy Rider, Johnny Soccer at the back of the grid. We do have blue flag rules. So the back markers, if they do get close to the leaders, will have to allow them to overtake. Yeah, we're doing popper racing tonight on the Finn Cross main circuit reverse. It looks beautiful. These guys were saying it might be a struggle bus handling this car, but it looks like we've got some very good racing so far. We've seen some overtakes already. Looks like Bouncy, after maybe not showing his true pace there in qualifying, he's definitely picked up the pace now. Climbing past Koo and Nate Savate. Also, Koo is overtaking Nate Savate as well. Have we got any leading battles here? We've got gaps between first, second, third and fourth. Similar gap between David final form, Ezin, Joe Burden and Plague. That is your top four there. Then we've got a gap before we get to Reedcraft. But it looks like Bouncy is picking up the pace and is catching up to the back of Reed here. Bouncy has been involved in a lot of races at Revline so far. He did our first ever Revline main event. Did a couple of races yesterday and he's here again tonight driving the popper. Good to see. Good to see. He did tell me that he's been learning off some of these quick Donnies at the front. It looks like he's definitely working out for him there. So it looks like all these front four have got a similar pace. No one really catching up to anybody yet. There's first, second, third and fourth. David final form keeping it very consistent. Not even at the halfway stage yet of this one. So yeah, we've got 3 races tonight. So if you want to get involved in the second and third race after this one, the server will get turned into a practice server. You'll have about 20 minutes to do some practice. And then at 5 past the hour, we will do qualification again. Nate Savay, oh no, did his game crash? Or did he rage quit? I am not sure. Hopefully neither happened, but yeah, probably one of the two. That's a rip there for Nate Savay. I'm sorry to see that he has left. But we carry on. David final form in first position. Had a good start off the grid. Joe Burden tried to get an overtake on him and he had to back out of it. That dropped him a bit further back. And now he's having to build his way up from 3rd position. But the pace between these guys very similar. So it's struggles. There's struggles there to try and catch up. Bouncy, after it looked like he was catching up to Reed Crafter. The gap looks pretty similar there between him and Reed. Koo not too far behind. Then we've got Super Raptor, Cheesy Rider, and Johnny Soccer. No real close battles on the grid so far. We just got gaps everywhere. So we'll just keep an eye on everything and see if we can find a battle when it does arise. I think we'll ride on board for a lap with David final form just to see what his pace is looking like. He's currently on a 37.758. Great racing so far from David final form. Qualified on pole position and he's just holding the pace here. Looking very good for himself at the moment. So there is a lap with David. I think he improved his lap time then as well. Ooh, we've got a battle here between Reed Crafter. Let's get on Reed Crafter. Where is he? Reed. There he is. Got a battle starting to form between Reed Crafter and Bouncy. Bouncy climbing from further back on the grid is looking to get himself a 5th position here. Reed Crafter has kept it nice and tidy so far, but Bouncy definitely looking like he's got some decent pace here. Reed Crafter's on a 38.3889 for his fastest lap so far. So Bouncy doesn't have to force anything here. He can be patient. There's no immediate danger from behind. So he just has to figure out where the gap appears, what kind of racing lines Reed Crafter is doing, and then he can make his move. It looks like Reed Crafter has picked up the pace. This first corner definitely looking good for Bouncy. He does catch up a lot there. So we've got Reed Crafter ahead, the 404 machine there. And then we've got Bouncy just behind with the yellow at the bottom. Bouncy getting a little love tap there on Reed Crafter. They're going to be side by side. Reed Crafter having good acceleration out of the corner. We'll keep hold of 5th position for now. Bouncy with a tighter line than Reed Crafter, but he's going to be slower on the exit as we hit the start and finish straight. We're about to enter the 15th lap of the race for these two guys. And Reed Crafter will stay ahead for now. We'll just quickly go through the order. Then there's David final form in first. Maybe we'll get a battle soon for 2nd place between Ezin and Joe Burden. Then we've got Plague in 4th position, not too far behind. But we'll keep an eye on Bouncy and Reed Crafter. Bouncy did the first event, the Dowles Bannon Mini Enduro. Finished towards the back of the grid on that one, but he's definitely improved since then. So he's going to be building that ranking if we can have a decent result here and get himself into 5th position. The only obstacle in his way is Reed Crafter. But I am seeing a battle for 2nd and 3rd here between Ezin and Joe Burden. There is 2nd and 3rd. David final form has cleared off there in 1st position. He's got very decent pace up ahead there. I am aware that David final form's favourite track is this one. I'm not sure if his favourite car is the Popper though. But it's a combination that is working out for him at the moment. Joe Burden going for a narrower line than Ezin into turn 1. Ezin does have more speed as he exits the corner though. Joe Burden all over the back of Ezin, trying to figure somewhere to get through. No gap there for him to go through, so Ezin will keep all the 2nd for now. Ezin in the white, Joe Burden in the black and red. Ezin keeping it nice and tidy. He just has to keep hold of his racing lines, make sure no huge gap open up for Joe Baden to enter. Plague not really close enough to take advantage of anything happens here just yet. But all this is going to allow David Final Form to get away in first position. Alright, we'll just see what the bouncy Reedcrafter situation is like. As I say, that bouncy looks like it's just completed the overtake on Reedcrafter. That was a perfect time to arrive. And also, Koo has caught up to this battle as well. Looks like bouncy and Reedcrafter, the battling there was allowing Koo to catch up. But bouncy, as we just looked there, completed the pass there on Reedcrafter, and he's up into 5th position. It's got an absolute mountain to climb to get into 4th. There is the gap there. We've got Plague almost at the end of the start finish, and Bouncy just getting on it himself. So it looks like 5th position is the best he can hope for right now. But he has to maintain his pace because Reedcrafter will not let him go lightly. And also Koo in close company as well. He looks like he's picked up the pace as the race has gone on. So there is 5th, 6th and 7th position. All right, we'll go back to that battle for 2nd place. There is 2nd place Ezin and Joe Baden. We're starting to hit the back markers here. Johnny Socko just up ahead. We've got Ezin on the left, Joe Baden on the right. Joe Baden looking for a switch around there, but it doesn't really work that time. He hits a bump. That'll slow him down a little bit as we get through the tight section of the track. Got the long left-hander. All this is allowing Plague to catch up to these two as well. So we do have blue flag rules, but Johnny Socko did do a race with us yesterday, so I believe he will understand the situation here. I'll probably just allow them to overtake on the start and finish. Yeah, we've got Ezin in the white, Joe Baden in the black and orange, and just behind we've got Plague here in the checkered red and white. There you go, Johnny Socko, just allow the leaders to overtake, please. Oh, please, there you go. That'll do, that'll do, that'll do. That'll do, that'll do. So there's your leader, David Final Form. Put it on pole for the first qualification this evening, and he's just running away right now. While there's battles behind him, you can just build that gap. He's on lap 21 of 36. Then here is 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Ezin, Joe Baden, Plague, Johnny Socko lap behind. Then we've got a huge gap before we get to Bouncy. Looks like Koo is going to be having a battle with Reedcrafter next. Reedcrafter did qualify ahead of these two just before this race, but it looks like Bouncy and Koo have the race pace advantage for now. Bouncy has cleared a gap here in front of Reedcrafter as well. No major incidents so far in this popper. I'm not sure if the hands are getting sweaty, if they're getting a bit of cramps or anything driving this popper. Everyone keeping it together so far. 2nd, 3rd and 4th. We've got gaps forming between them now. Joe Baden was very close to Ezin earlier on in the race, and he'll have to start clawing his way back towards him if he wants to get a 2nd position in this first race of the evening. Both Joe Baden, Ezin and David Final Form consistently in that top 3 and 4 scenario when they've done races here. Plague also being consistently up there as well. So it looks like Koo has fallen a little bit away from Reedcrafter there. But he's still got plenty of laps to catch up to him. We're on lap 23 of 36. So looking for the closest battle on the grid. Super Raptor having a very, very lonely race there. So is Cheesy Rider. David Final Form there. Ooh, the battle is hotting up for a 2nd, 3rd and 4th position. Joe Baden has caught back up to Ezin. Plague there in close company as well. So what is Ezin going to do to defend here? Just needs to keep it nice and tidy. Joe Baden having different entries into the corner to try and create some space for himself. But a little bit too far behind at the moment. If we're looking to turn 1 though, Joe Baden has a very tight line compared to Ezin. He does seem to catch up a lot into turn 1. But maybe not that time. Maybe Ezin has learned what Joe Baden is doing. He's doing it for himself. But every corner, Joe Baden does seem to have a tighter line than Ezin. Still plenty of time to make a move. About 11 laps remaining for these two. Ezin goes a little bit wide. That's going to allow Joe Baden to get side by side as we approach the start and finish. Nearly side by side as we hit turn 1, lap 25 and 36. Joe Baden into the braking zone, keeps it nice and tight. Touches the grass a little bit there, but Ezin will have the inside line as we switch it to the right. And then we're going to go through the long left-hander. Plague keeping it patient here. If anything happens, he'll be first to take the spoils. As I say that, he nearly gets onto the back there with Joe Baden. Slows him down there, touching the barrier. So he's going to fall a little bit further behind. So just to recap some of the race, David Final Form qualified on first position, and he's running away. There he is over there. He's far ahead of everybody else, pacing himself, putting in those hot laps. And yeah, he is running away. But here is the battle for second, third and fourth. Ezin, Joe Baden and Plague. Do we have any battles further back? There is Bouncy. That is a back marker. Johnny Soccer. That is not a battle for position. Looks like Reedcrafter has pulled away from Koo. And we've got Super Raptor behind Koo as well. There is Cheesy Rider. Had a very lonely race. Hopefully he's enjoying himself though in the popper. The Cheesemobile. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. The Cheesemobile. I like it. I like it. Good to see, good to see. David Final Form about to lap in. We'll keep an eye on the battle for second and third. Ezin, Joe Baden and Plague. As soon as the pace starts to rise for Ezin and Joe Baden, they do start to leave Plague alone. And it is starting just to become a two-car battle between Ezin and Joe Baden. Joe Baden, the laps are starting to dwindle for him to make an opportunity for himself here to get second place. There's also the risk of him falling down into fourth position if something happens between him and Ezin. Ooh, he's going to be very tight there on the left-hander, but Ezin's going to have the inside as we go to the long sweeping right. Joe Baden will have a little looked at there on the back. Ezin holds on to the position for now. We're seeing a defensive masterclass here from Ezin. He is not crippling there under pressure. He's holding on to it. We all know how fast Joe Baden can be. But he is doing all right at the moment. But as I say that, Ezin goes very wide. I don't want to do the curse of the commentator on him, but he still holds on to that position. Looks like consistently Joe Baden is a lot better into that turn 1 though. Keeps it very nice and tight. But this is definitely not the way to enter this corner. He nearly sacrificed himself there to Plague. But he manages to hold on to that third position. Ezin goes wide yet again. It's on the last turn and turn 1. Ezin goes a lot wider than Joe Baden. It doesn't really create much of an opportunity for Joe Baden to overtake because Ezin has more speed on the start-finish because of that wider entry into the final turn. Maybe that is a plan. I am not sure. But it's definitely working out for him so far. We're on lap 30 of 36. David Final Form is so far ahead of these guys. There he is. There is your leader, David Final Form. This is the biggest gap we're seeing so far in any of our races at Revline between first and second place. Be interesting to see if Joe Baden does the second and third races and also if David Final Form does it. If there'll be any different results there. But we shall see when that time comes. Second, third and fourth. So close together on the track. I'll just quickly see if there's any other battles as we go through. There's Bouncy. After getting a good overtake on Reedcrafter, he fell further back. And Koo has fallen further back from Reedcrafter as well. There is Super Raptor, David Final Form. That's the next person he's going to lap. So lap 32-36 are in the closing stages of our first race of the evening. David Final Form in first position, Ez in second, Joe Baden in third. Then we've got Plague in 4th, Bouncy in 5th, Reedcrafter 6th, Coup in 7th, Super Raptor in 8th. So not long to go here. Is there going to be an opportunity for Joe Baden to get the 2nd place here? Ezin goes very, very wide there, but that will give him a lot more top speed as we go down to the start and finish. These guys are entering lap 34 of 36. Ezin got a little bit of a gap there, similar gap between 2nd, 3rd and 4th place. Ezin has kept it so tidy so far. It would be a shame if he lost that 2nd position now after defending for much of the race to Joe Baden. He'll be under pressure right now. I had some decent races with these two, well, Ezin especially before the in the practice. So it's good to see he's having a good race here at the moment. In 2nd position. But David, final form, definitely the man to beat on this track this evening so far. Will there be any more racers joining in to put up a challenge to him? We'll find out soon. Chizarada is going to allow the leaders to overtake. Nicely done there, sir. Thank you very much. David, final form. There he's about to enter the last lap of the race. Mr. Consistent so far this evening. He's just got one more lap to go. He's got Super Raptor to lap next. But here's the battle that we want to see. Looks like Ezin and Joe Baden have cleared Plague, who's currently running in 4th. Is Joe Baden going to try a last-ditch maneuver here to try and get 2nd position? Ezin just keeping it so consistent there. He's not really made a mistake. He's not hit any barriers. Joe Baden has got an opportunity here, though, but they both hit the tyres very narrow, both of them there, into the final set of corners. But it looks like that's all she wrote for 2nd position, and Ezin keeps 2nd place. David, final form is your winner. Joe Baden in 3rd, Plague in 4th, and then it'll be Bouncy. I think he'll be in 5th position. Then we've got Reedcrafter. Looks like he'll finish in 6th. Looks like Coup will be 7th. Super Raptor will be your top 8. Good racing there from the 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Also Bouncy getting some good overtakes. He climbed up from near the back of the grid into 5th position. Very good race from him there. Can you keep up with them fast on, Zad? Yeah, I did alright in practice. I mean, I've only practiced this track for like 5 races earlier on before we started the stream, and yeah, I was on a similar pace. Similar pace, but yeah. We're alright. The old man still got it, noob. The old man still got it. So good win there for David, final form. Ezin in 2nd place. Joe Baden, that is your top 3 for the first race this evening.